if you could have $1 billion worth of Bitcoin and 12 words would secure it. Now, they could threaten to kill you and say, if you don't give us the 12 words, we're going to kill you.
There is that.
Yeah, and they might. But if you had the 12 words, and you'd given them to other relatives and they didn't know who, I mean, the point is they can't get the wealth. They just can't, short of killing you. And even if they kill you, they're not necessarily able to get the wealth. That equation is a very important equation. There's a guy on Twitter named Jason Lowry who talks about this a lot. He does a great job of it. And so it's going to change. It literally changes the balance of power between individuals and governments. And I think we're going to a much more decentralized world in the future. And I think big governments peaked in World War II. They managed to figure out how to slaughter 50 million people. And ever since then, we've been going towards a decentralized world. And the microchip started it, the internet spread it, and Bitcoin is going to help to perfect it. And I think, 50 or 100 years from now, we won't have enormous nation states. We'll have smaller nation states and, smaller groups of people who decide to live together and, more of a kind of a Swiss version of democracy rather than these big nations that are clashing with one another. So that's just my hope and my dream. Let's skip the ETF for a minute and just talk about Bitcoin derivatives. So there already are Bitcoin derivatives. There are futures and options, and then there are over the counter. And a site on the web called Glassnode keeps track of them. And fortunately, the amount of Bitcoin derivatives is very small compared to the Bitcoin outstanding and compared to the gold market. They've had 50 plus years to build the paper gold market. And it's not even up for debate anymore. The gold price is massively manipulated as a result of the paper. They could try and do the same thing with Bitcoin, and I think there's a possibility that they will. It's going to be harder because it's more volatile. I mean, Bitcoin has gone up 5x in less than a year and a half. Gold's never done that. But they have a printing press, and if you have a printing press and you take big losses and you can just print the whole, it doesn't really matter. And that's, of course, what they've done when they've had to in the gold market. So my strong belief is that when Bitcoiners win and Bitcoiners and gold people win and sound money advocates have control of the government, because we've got all the marbles, which is how I see the future going, that one of the first things they're going to do is they're going to outlaw financial derivatives, because Buffett's right. They are weapons of mass destruction. They're also weapons of control. Basically, financial derivatives say that whoever is the final backstop or whoever has control of the printing press wins by definition, because they can just print more money. I mean, you can always increase the size of the bet, and they have no constraint on their resources as a result of the fact that they've got a printing press. So financial derivatives need to be banned, and the threat of derivatives to Bitcoin is real, but it's not large yet. I say yet because as things go down the road, it could become more real, but it's something we can watch because we can see a lot of the transactions, and I think we'll have a sense if and when it's becoming an issue. I've said before, the technology could fail. I'm convinced that's not likely to happen. People could stop adopting it and using it. I don't see any evidence that that's happening. I see all kinds of use cases and growth all around the world, so I don't think that's going to happen. I think the government could slow it down in the kind of things we're talking about. I mean, I think if they decided to make it a crime for using Bitcoin, they decided to tax it at 90%. If all of the governments of the world in a coordinated fashion decided they really wanted to try and kill this, I don't think they'd kill it, but I think they would severely slow it down. Having said that, I think the war would become much more aggressive, because, it would be a signal to people that, well, why are governments doing this? What is it? Why are they so threatened by this thing? If it's not anything that's good, why does it threaten them? And so I can't really foresee a case where Bitcoin doesn't win in the longer run, but I do foresee cases where there are severe bumps as a result of actions that governments can take.